All right, I'd like to call the November 21st, 2024 Board of Adjustments meeting to order. Brian, will you take the roll, please?
Said I was ready, but, okay. Steve Matheson, Susan Whitehead.
Here.
Nikki Bishop.
Here.
Rich Livingood. Here. Stephanie Steffen.
Here.
Okay, we need to approve the minutes from the October 17th, 2024 meeting. Are there any additions or changes to the minutes? Okay.
Make a motion, we approve and accept.
Second the motion.
All right. Brian, will you pull the board?
Susan Whitehead.
Yes?
Nikki Bishop.
Yes.
Rich Livingood.
Yes.
Stephanie Steffen.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to explain how we will conduct this meeting. First, the city will give a brief description of the case, and then we will take testimony from the applicant and anyone that wishes to speak on this matter. Please come to the podium and give your name and address when you wish to speak. If you plan to give testimony, please raise your right hand to be sworn in. I solemnly affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is case BA 24-18. Brian, would you like to give us an overview of this case?
Sure. Just a aside to this, prior to starting, all those in attendance tonight have a right to give testimony, present evidence, and cross-examine witnesses on any case in front of the board tonight, whether for or against said case. Sorry, I'm just getting things situated here. Case number BA 24-18 is property located at 120 East 3rd Street. The applicant is requesting a change from one non-conforming use to another to operate an event center. The previous non-conforming use at that location was a nightclub, and in 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Commissioners approved a text amendment removing nightclubs from the Central Business District fringe, thereby making it a non-conforming use at that time. The applicant has initially, when the business license came through, applied for what they termed as a comedy club. However, on the Board of Adjustment application, it came through as an event center. I think that's one thing that the board would have to establish what the actual use is being applied for, or if there's a difference between the two. In the Central Business District fringe, also, commercial event centers are not a permitted use either, so that's why the change in non-conforming use. So we do have some folks here that's going to prepare to give some testimony, but I would like to get the applicant up here to explain the project. If you remember last month, this was tabled due to lack of counsel. So.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. I'm counsel for the company and for my client here, Mr. Davenport. So,
And would you introduce yourself?
Olivia Robbie, counsel for Mr. Davenport.
So the question was the difference between the event center and the comedy club. The place has been built out for a comedy club, and we have different, like, smaller comedians and different things, different folks coming in, pretty much every week. Once the business gets open, we did a transitional period from when it was a nightclub. We did some things on Sundays, just to kind of get it sparked. But that was not our true intent. It was never a true intent to do anything outside of a comedy club. Reason why we put event center is because there may be some things that we might do. Somebody might rent it out, or for a wedding, or a repast, and so I didn't want to limit ourselves by saying it was just a comedy club, but that's kind of what it is. It's a comedy club.
I would make a comment, Madam Chairman, the application calls it an event center. So whether the board finds issue that, the question here is whether it's a non-conforming use, and the issue I would see is, if you're calling it an event center is listed in our ordinance as a facility located on private property, primarily functions to provide any type of social gathering or assembly, typically consisting of one or more multi-purpose meeting rooms and/or recreational facilities that are available for use by various private groups for activities such as meetings, partings, weddings, receptions, dances, and recreation. So I don't know that a comedy club fits within the definition that we have in our ordinances, what a commercial event center would be.
No, it doesn't. Well, I guess one thing I'm questioning is, are you operating? Because you're talking about what you're doing. Where have you been doing these other events and comedy clubs and things?
Yes, we're not operating right now, man. We're just kind of, we just got finished doing a lot of renovations on the property, and so we're just kind of waiting to see, what was gonna happen with this process. But so we're not operating right now. We're lining up different events and stuff. Different comedians and stuff. So whenever we do open, we'll be ahead of the game. So that's kind of what's going on right now.
Are you familiar with the large amount of complaints, the calls about the vulgar music coming from your building on various days?
So we're aware of that from the past ownership of it. We aren't planning on having any vulgar music or anything to that extent. There were 2 calls that we are aware of regarding that too, and I was going to clarify your question. So my client had a transitional liquor license, which allowed him to operate for 90 days under the previous owner's liquor license. And so during that time, he did do some operations. So he was doing some operations out of the location under that liquor license. So that's how we are aware of some things, but not aware of, other things.
This is
But
a stack of police runs that I've had in the report since then. So this is more than 1 or 2 calls that we've had at the location.
may I ask about the most 2 recent, when those occurred? Thank you very much.
Barry, do you have copies of these for everybody on the board? I do, sir. Now, I will say, just for the purposes of the board and for the applicant, when it says on the list here of runs, check signal 13, those are the police check on their own. That doesn't require a call to 911 or to dispatch there. That's do it. The reason why you see so many area checks and signals would be because of the amount of calls that were in this area in a very short amount of time. As they said, they had a transitional, they weren't open very long. So I think that one of the issues you're gonna see, people I believe that are come to the meeting at Academy on 4th have a serious issue with the noise that comes out of there. And as we referenced, and we have videos to show it, I just try to save some time here, that these are loud, vulgar, profane things that are being put out in the community in daylight. So those are the concerns I think the community has about this particular establishment.
So my client is only aware of 2 times that the police were called out to the location.
Does that concern you that your client's only aware of 2 times when there's been multiple call-outs?
No, it doesn't, because on those 2 occasions, the first time they were alerted to turn down the music, they did so. The second time, when the police arrived, the police even said that really it wasn't too loud, and they left without, requiring the music to be turned down or anything like that. Now, we did become aware that the patio in particular was an issue for the music, so we're willing to agree to any sort of stipulation that the board might find necessary regarding not having any music out on the patio. Again, this is transitioning from a nightclub. We're not going to be a nightclub. We are going to be a comedy club. The goal is not the music. So we're willing to agree to, a stipulation that, no music out on the patio. That's what we believe was that issue.
But if you're a comedy club, then you expect that you have a stage and you have people sitting in front of the stage. And so I do believe the biggest amount of problems previously with Ultra Lounge were what went on that side patio outside. So why are we having music on the side patio if we're a comedy club? And for the most part, you would expect that your entertainment is inside.
I can address that. When I took over, we had certain pop-up like day party type deals to draw interest, and we had that a few Sundays. Probably for I would say maybe 8 weeks or so. And so when people were complaining, that's why I wasn't aware of all of the complaints because nobody showed up to the facility to address anything. I remember seeing these two gentlemen here. We had a meeting with these two guys, one morning, and they came out and, to kind of see what was going on. But, I wasn't aware of all of the, like I said, nobody showed up. So whether this list right here states that it was, I guess, multiple infractions, but nobody came and said, turn the music down or, any of those things. So I wouldn't have known that this was, in place.
Sir, do you recall a phone call from Diane Ramey, the ABC administrator with the city of Newport? I
Yes,
believe
sir.
you passed her along to a general manager,
Yes, sir.
correct? Do you recall the conversation at that time regarding
sir.
the noise?
Yes, sir. She told me that there was a complaint. She didn't say multiple. She just said there was a complaint, and I assured her that we will handle it. But that was the last time that I had a conversation with Diane about any kind of problems.
That, and Diane's not here tonight, but that's not quite what I was told, what was the result of that.
Okay.
She was told that this is within the noise ordinance, and we're gonna do whatever we want, essentially, paraphrasing it.
Okay. Well,
So I think that's why some of the issues, if you look at all in total, we've got a stack of police calls to the building in a short period of time, and a refusal to even cooperate just with a simple phone call that is a courtesy, instead of sending the police department down or trying to go through enforcement. So I think that's why there's some hesitation here on the staff side and from the police department side as to what it is you're going to be doing and using this building for.
Right.
Especially when there's ambiguity between the application as comedy club and then the subsequent applications of this board as an event center. So I think that's why there is some real concern, as you can appreciate. And I do have some video, and Captain Paul Kunkel is here, who was involved with this as well, to enter into the testimony here as well, which might, explain some of the issues that we've been seeing.
Okay. So, again, that was, I guess, over the summer because we haven't been open or anything. So, we've already stated that, what our purpose is, and that's a comedy club, somewhere that folks can come, listen to some good comedy. We do have a stage that's inside that people can sit around, and the club aspect of it was never the intent, and it won't be the intent. We won't have, parties and different things like that like the previous folks had. We're strictly professional, and we want to make sure that people just come and enjoy themselves. It was a comedy club, not there, but down, in the area before. And I know that a lot of folks, the Funny Bone, I believe, and a lot of folks visited at that. So we're kind of trying to mimic that in a sense. And we don't want any issues. We're just trying to just do good business, just be good neighbors. And that's really it. We don't want to invite any problems because when there's problems, it falls back on, the owner and different things like that. And I don't want that. So, that's why we choosing to do something totally different.
Questions, 'cause
Yes, sir.
save us a bunch of time, because we can play the videos and all that. I think that you're kind of acknowledging that there was an issue with loud music out on the patio, and that you were approached by the police department, and you're saying that you would agree that if the board would grant your application, that you would be agreeable that you're gonna have no sound emit from that building.
Well, when you say no sound, I mean like what? Like no nothing on the patio? I mean, I just want to be specific.
Music that's loud, using vulgarities in particular. But I
Okay.
mean, I think loud music, when you have a residence right behind the building there,
Yes, sir.
and they can hear it in their apartment, and they're calling the city and saying, this is so loud, even with my windows closed, I can still hear the music. You're telling me that you're not gonna have any music coming out
That's right.
out of the building.
I'm telling you that, absolutely.
So I have a question. You say you are also going to use it as event space.
Yeah, when I say events, I just want to be specific as far as like, we get, people that want to rent the place for events like, it might be a wedding. It might be, like I said, a baby shower. It might be, a repast. Those is the events that I'm referring to.
So with the wedding reception,
Yes, ma'am.
there's going to be music.
Inside.
Right. And you're going to control that and tell
for sure.
your guests that it can only be a certain.
For sure.
And then-
Absolutely.
And then what are your hours of operation?
Operation.
be?
Right now, we're kind of playing with some things. We're probably looking at like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, possibly. In the comedy field, it normally gets, your Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sundays are your major days when you can bring in talent. So that's kind of what we're looking for right now. So.
What time would you be
Oh,
closing?
hours. Okay, so we'll open up at probably about 5 p.m. and then we'll end at like 1 a.m.
And then as far as events, are you going to limit that time frame as well?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it will not be like a 2 o'clock or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning thing. This is be strictly straight to the point, and we'll be out of there at about 1 o'clock.
Well, my sense about this is that there is a significant amount of hesitation on the part of city staff and the city attorney here as far as this is concerned. And to me, it just sounds like there's just not been as much communication, as much openness as there should be. It makes me nervous as a board member to bear the responsibility of how your business is going to function, what you're going to be doing, stipulating your hours and those kinds of things. I think our board personnel, I think Brian and the staff here, obviously they have a lot more time and attention to give to these matters than we do. So my sense about this is I would recommend that you table this issue again for another month, that you meet with Brian and John, further define what you're going to, if you're going to be a comedy club, then I would think that whatever actions we take need to be reflected in functioning as a comedy club and not, quote, an event center. And if a comedy club fits the city's designation for the use of that property, I think we're fine with that. I think we support business in our community, and we'd be glad to have you here. But obviously, there's a track record, there's some complaints and concerns that I think can be addressed, but it sounds like we need some more time to communicate.
So I think before we get into any sort of motion, I think we do still have some evidence that we would want to get into the record, and we do have Captain Kunkel here that has some interaction here before we proceed to close the public hearing, if that's okay with the board. Okay. So as part of this, do you want to question Paul, and then I'll bring up these videos, or you want me to?
We'll let the applicant continue. If there's more information you want to give to the board, and then why don't we take some public comment, we'll go from there and give you a chance to say everything you want to say, and,
Yep.
and maybe convince the board otherwise. I know you've been here twice, so I'm willing to give you time to make your case.
Right now? Okay. Yeah, I just, I hear you, and I respect, the decision that you guys make. I'm not here to argue about anything. What I'm saying is that, we haven't had time to kind of see if this can be, we can be valuable members of the community. We haven't. We've been 2 months, maybe, and, again, I want to apologize if there was anything that I could have done better, that's, what I choose to do, as far as like just respect, if there was complaints or if there was, anything that we've done that, rubbed off wrong, that's not our intention. I have been working with Diane Ramey for a long time, to get this application approved. I respect it when she called me. Like I said, I'm not the general manager, so of course, I referred that to the proper person. But at the end of the day, I am held responsible, and I'm not running from anything. I mean, if it's some things that we need to change, we are willing to do that by any stretch of the imagination. There's been a lot of money put into revamping the building. If you come into the building, you will see that it's not even remotely close to what it used to look like. It doesn't even look like a nightclub. And so, I've committed and I've invested a lot of dollars to, to see my business through. And I just think, if I can get the opportunity to perform, and, and we know how, how cautious we need to be when it's coming to, when folks are coming in and controlling the crowds and different things like that. We know that. So, I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that, by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that's really all I have.
And just a few last comments. So we are willing to, make any amendments to the application to reflect that we would like for it to be used as a comedy club and as an event center. Completely understand that. So we'll make those, any adjustments that are required there. In addition, we're aware of the history of this property. We weren't aware when it was initially, when we initially leased it. So to be clear, when we came in, we weren't aware of any of those issues. So, there were some weekends where it was operated, like a nightclub, which was the non-conforming use that was approved for. So in the future, it would be, a comedy club, which is, more in conformance with the zone than a nightclub, which will take care of a vast majority of those issues. So I think if we just have some clarification, again, some meetings, I think you'll see us next month and, be able to approve this.
Events are definitely secondary to the club, though.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a secondary.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And again, with Comedy Club, it's not really going to get above my voice on the microphone. So we'll also go out there and just, with a, what are they called, a decimeter or whatever they're called, and, maybe bring in some calculations for that for you as well.
And one more calculation, when it's a comedy club, how many people do you expect to seat
Yeah, we're
at a max?
probably around about 100.
Okay.
We kind of looked at that as far as
Come on
we
over.
I'm sorry. We kind of looked at that as far as the seating. So we got a seating for about 100, if that. And that's on a good night. Depending on who the comedian is. That's
Right.
It just depends.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
There's some people in the public that might want to have comments, so we can take them before we'll call our witnesses.
Is there anyone else that wanted to speak on this matter?
Hi, I'm Melissa McIntyre. I am the property manager of Academy on 4th. I am also a resident of Academy on 4th. My unit faces the north side, right on the second floor, right by this entertainment center. I have many concerns, one being the manager, how difficult it has been in the past to rent units due to this club that was there previous, and keeping residents here at Academy has been difficult. Not just the noise, not just the vulgarity and explicit lyrics, but the behavior of the people who come to this establishment after hours. They have no respect for the people who are living there at all hours. The garbage that is left, the music that is played, the amount of smoking of marijuana and that smell. And I've also witnessed gunshots. I've had 7 bullet shells underneath my window. And I'm not saying that this is gonna be the same, but in the last 8 weeks that he was open, it did not look like a different business. It looked exactly the same. They were only open on Sunday evenings, early evening, starting around 6 or 7 o'clock, which is one of the calls that I personally put in, because the lyrics of the music, not only was it loud when I was approaching, because I was coming from the levee, but the lyrics were so vulgar and explicit that it was upsetting to me, as I really care about this community and living here just over 4 years. And I really do a lot to try to promote the businesses. I just don't see how that is gonna help Newport grow into the city and community that I believe the people who have been here long want it to be. If I had children, I would not wanna come back to that. I just, the dancing that happens afterwards, which is fine, but it is like 1, 2 in the morning, and it wakes you up in the middle of the night. The music that they play from the car, and I know you can't control what people do afterwards, but I don't understand it on a Sunday evening. It's much more tolerable, to be honest, if it wasn't Sunday, but I really fear for the businesses like I have, and them being able to do well for the city, you know, and moving forward, if this type of business comes back. I don't understand. I was excited about the comedy club. I thought it would be a great idea, something fun and different. And I don't understand having the type of events that were going on Sunday nights, if that's what your intention was to do. So, is there any questions here? I'm sorry.
So if I could ask you a question, so it sounds like, just to be clear for the board, so there was a period of time, and the applicant is inheriting some history
I understand that.
from the prior owner. I just want to make sure that we're clear and fair, is that what part of what you're describing came during a period of time in which the applicant was actually operating,
Correct.
which I think was there was a couple of month period, I believe.
Yes, over this late summer. Like I said, I do live there, right there. I'm a witness to see that as they transpired. The clothing that the women wear to deliver their drinks is minimal.
So this is everything that was happening
This is
out on
still
the
happening.
patio?
Yes,
This
I
is
didn't see anything really
Patio
happening
stuff,
inside.
and you said some noise from cars or just
But
disturbance?
that's after the fact, when they close, because people they park all over the area.
Sure.
And this is a residential area also, and I know we're on the border, and I respect that, and that makes it fun and exciting, right? That's part of why people love to live at Academy, is that opportunity to have a little bit of both worlds. But when it's intruding into your evenings like that, and it's so loud, and people are so disrespectful to our community, that's what makes it hard. In respect to him opening, I was very aware, because these gentlemen here came to speak with me and asked if I had time to go meet with the manager and talk to him about the business. So I do know when it started, and that's when I would say I didn't see any difference. I personally believed it was the exact same owner with a different LLC, because all I saw changing was the name on the outside of the building. The music was the same. It seemed like the same people that were there, the way they dressed and behaved afterwards. I didn't see any difference. And so I'm stating that I'm fearful that that's what's gonna continue. I don't know if there is a way that if you were to move forward with the comedy club, that it is probational maybe, where we can see if this really works, because I really do want Newport to thrive, and having an empty building is never good for anybody. So, it would be very exciting for something new to come, but for what I've seen over the last 4 years and what has been there, I really would hesitate to move forward with, because what I've seen is the same as we had before.
So you're the property manager at Fourth
Yes.
Street Academy, correct? Were you receiving complaints from other residents inside the building?
Yes.
Could you describe how many, or an estimation of how many, and how frequently you were getting, in the period of time in which the
Which
applicant
he
was?
owns
Yes,
it?
not prior, but so,
Well, to be honest, I mean, it was disappointing to, because I announced too that it was going to be a comedy club. I was really excited for that as a new business. But, people would just make, comments on slight, and I wish there were more people would have shown, but anybody who lives on the north side is mostly the ones who are concerned and disturbed. I would say, I don't know, a handful to 10 people or whatever, but nothing seemed to ever change with the old business, so people pretty much got tired of calling. It didn't make a difference. They just move out. That side of the building is really hard to keep occupied, and I have less renewals on that side of the building.
Let me ask you a question. If, in your opinion, if the board were to, you've heard the applicant speak, if the board were to agree to his terms and say, okay, we're gonna approve this with the condition that there's no amplified music whatsoever outside the building. So whatever they were doing inside, and taking them out of their word that was comedy, but let's say it was even music inside that didn't come outside of the building, would that change your opinion about the situation or no?
I definitely think so. I mean, if it is a business that doesn't intrude on the residents, and if those people coming to this event center or comedy club were respectful after the hours, I know that's harder to police, but that late at night, I question anybody who only has a business that's open on Sunday evenings and no other day. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how you pay your bills that way. And I also have a very uncomfortable feeling with the fact that I see security guards there and people getting patted down, and at times metal detectors. I don't understand that.
So, just for your information, a couple of things here. Is one, if the board were to put a condition on and said no amplified music, and they decided, well, now, but let's say in the springtime, well, we're gonna do that anyway, what would the end result would be, they get called before this board, and the board could reject the conditional use altogether, and then just close them down, say you didn't meet the conditions, so you don't have variance anymore. So there is some teeth to that. I will say, though, where you get into who the patrons are and what they do when they leave the facility, not a whole lot we as the city can do with that, because we can't expect even the best owners in the world to track down their clients as they get in their car and make sure they leave or best behavior. So that part, the board would have very little to do with. The other is, they are limited by time, so if they limit it, at this point, the cutoff would be 1 o'clock in the morning, so I know that's probably not perfect for you, but that, there is some of that they're saying, and that's a stipulation that's gonna be tied to the liquor license. The board could also put the stipulation of 1 o'clock on the use, and if they're inclined to do that, I would recommend it, just in case. The Board of Commissioners could someday make the liquor license time 4 o'clock, or whatever time they want, so I would say that it makes sense if there's a time cutoff that we put that in the conditions that the board go with as well.
I would ask the board to consider having that time limit shorter on a Sunday evening, as the majority of our residents do work on Monday morning, and it's a time to kind of get ready and prepare for your next day. And then as far as during the week, on a Wednesday and stuff, having something that's 1 o'clock, being this close to a residential area, I fear that problematic, and we might have some of the same issues that we've had in the past. I understand, Friday nights and Saturday nights, we all like to have a little fun, right? It's late.
Like to have it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board?
Just for the record, we'll call Captain Kunkel as a witness very quickly. Captain Kunkel, you've been sworn in.
Yes, sir.
You've heard the testimony, and I don't think that the owner is disagreeing with something, so I don't want to belabor the point for the board, and I know we have other matters on for the hearing tonight, but just for the sake of this, you reviewed this list that was certified by our city clerk of police runs, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the business located at 120 Third Street?
Yes, sir.
And, is it a fair statement to say that they've gotten a significant amount of police runs for the short amount of time they were open?
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Is that more or less than a typical bar or club in the city?
As Ms. Melissa stated, the property manager, for having events only on Sunday night, it's huge to have that amount of police runs just for a Sunday night.
You had conversation with the owner about those things?
Yes, sir, I have.
Did you see some improvement or no?
When I went inside, I have to state this, something was said here tonight about the smell of marijuana. When I first went in there, I smelled marijuana. The second time I went in there, throughout the bar, I smelled marijuana. Not outside the bar, inside the bar. The first time I went there, told them what we needed. They were very pleasant to talk with. They agreed. We went and talked to the DJ. DJ agreed. Then it's like we didn't talk to him. Music was back up. The second time I went in there and talked, it seemed that when we arrived, things changed. Music went down. Meantime, on my off weekends when I went by there, or when I was coming back from the weekend, on Monday, we're receiving complaints. I was at the levee, I've worked the levee detail several times, and while working the levee detail, we're complaint driven. If I hear somebody playing music in their house and they're having a good time and they got 100 people in their living room, if we don't ever receive a complaint, you're okay. And I'm talking about someone's residence. Commercial property, we treat it the same. If we've got a lot of stuff going on in there and everybody's happy in the neighborhood and everybody's being a good neighbor, it's not for us to judge. We are complaint driven. Well, I'd come in on Monday and we would have all kinds of complaints. I had a resident send me video of the noise. Standing outside, I could hear the vulgarity from the music. I could hear the hooting and the hollering, the screaming, the yelling, and the profanity from the individuals at times that were there in the parking lot. The next morning you would look, there would be garbage outside the parking lot, which was the same problem we had when there was other clubs there. The garbage seems to be an issue, and it becomes an issue from the Holiday House too. So who's responsible for that? I can't put that on their clients. I don't know. But when they're open, all of a sudden there's garbage there. Talking to the residents who, their number one complaint was something that Ms. Melissa said was, I gotta work tomorrow, it's Monday. I'm just asking them to be reasonable. And with that, everything that I saw when I would go down there, since it's complaint driven and I wasn't getting a call right then and there to walk inside the place, I sat back and wait to see what would happen. And it happened. I was told several times, all they wanted was for it to be reasonable, and what I observed, it quite simply was unreasonable. The volume of music, the activity, the vulgarity. Being I've been a police officer for a long time, I'm not a normal citizen. I'm a police officer. I'm used to hearing vulgarity. I'm used to seeing things that the normal person doesn't see. That's why I don't say what's good or bad. I wait for a complaint So then I can look at it through the scope of that individual. And the common factor of the people who live at the academy is that it is unreasonable for what they see. That's all.
If we do, can we discuss something together as a board for a couple?
Well, my sense at this point is either table or deny, so unless someone convinces me otherwise, that's my sense at this point. There are just too many issues. Our city is a fine city, we want to keep it that way. We already have issues after midnight. Nothing great happens and good happens after midnight anyway. And we sure don't want city police resources tied up with these kind of matters when they should be attending to other more important issues. So my sense at this point is to deny. Any other comments, questions, or should I just go ahead and make a motion? Is there a wish to table this, or? Yeah, I think there are too many issues here for us to work through, deal with, and we do want people living in our community, not just having a good time on Sunday night in our community. So motion deny case number BA 2418, change from non-conforming use to another. Based on evidence and testimony presented during this hearing, the board has found that the new non-conforming use is less in conformance with the intent of the regulation than the prior non-conforming use. Additionally, the proposed change will not preserve, will harm the public safety and welfare, and will injure the essential character of the neighborhood based on the following reasons, those listed. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Brian, will you poll the board?
Susan Whitehead,
Yes.
Nikki Bishop,
Yes.
Rich Livingood,
Yes.
Stephanie Steffen.
Yes.
Yes for the, what, okay.
Okay.
Upgrade of the zoning.
It's a lot better looking, yeah.
Hey. So as I indicated earlier before the meeting, been having Jessica do more and more zoning duties, and part of zoning is she's familiar with the next two cases, so I'm going to have her step in for me.
Okay, our next case on the agenda is BA 24-21. The applicant is requesting a rear yard setback variance in the R2 zone for construction of a two-story garage for the property located at 562 Lexington Avenue in Newport. This is requested by Homeworks Construction LLC. Now, Jennifer, are you going to give us an overview of the case?
It's Jessica Bolton.
Jessica, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Jennifer too, though.
Yeah.
It did start with a J.
It started with a J.
So the proposed garage is going to encroach the 25-foot rear yard setback, about 17 feet. This is a two-story garage. The lot size does not meet the 4,000 square foot minimum, so there's a little bit of concern for the intended use of a potential living space on the second floor of this garage. If you reference the floor plan on the next page of the staff report, they've got it labeled as an office, but there is a kitchenette and a bathroom on the second floor of this garage.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to address the board or the attorney?
Tom Fisher, I'm attorney for the applicant, Carolyn Bruns, and Mr. Vogt is here for Homeworks.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
Aye.
I was contracted by the owner to put together a set of construction drawings for a two-car garage with space above for an office. It is 8 feet from Waters Alley. That allows the owner to maintain roughly a 12-foot space for a patio between the house and the garage. And that's why it's pushed so close to the alley at the rear setback line.
Okay, I think the bigger concern and the bigger question here is the second floor, the proposal for the second floor. I mean, most garages have to get into the rear yard setback, so that's not a real unusual case. The unusual case is the plan for the second story on the garage. So would you like to speak to that? I mean, this looks like living space.
Sure, I can appreciate that. I think in general, just for us in our home, and me especially, our straight up living, it's all of our rooms are extremely closed off from one another. We don't have any bigger open space, and so that's it for me and my family. It just gives us the flexibility to use that big open space for our own family, which is just not small. That's all.
Just to be clear, and I'm sure this is the question, not intended to use it for an Airbnb or?
No, absolutely not.
So staff sense about, as far as the space, the construction, staff is fine with that, I would presume at this point. And we're just concerned about the kitchenette being there, which if I was gonna build the space, I'd probably put a kitchenette there too.
Exactly.
Another small caveat would be the porch on one side of the garage. When you get less than 5 feet to a property line, you have to have fire-rated walls and things of that nature, and that porch would be considered projection. So the underside of that projection would need to be fire protected, but that's not necessarily going to hinder your rear setback variance. Just wanted you to be aware of that.
Okay. And the opposite side, the neighbor's side needs to be.
That would need to be rated.
That's not specified on the plans, but I am aware of that. I do need to change that before submitting a building permit, for a building permit.
Okay, yeah, any recommendation we would make would include that caveat. That would need to be the case. I'm familiar with that.
Right, and then the condition, obviously, that this is not used as an accessory dwelling unit and just as additional office space.
Any other questions? Comments?
I don't know if it looks like a dog and barks like a dog. I mean, you know, I understand what you're saying you're gonna use it for. And then, you know, then somebody says, oh, that's a cute little apartment, and it has a kitchen, a pantry, and a full bath. 550 square feet or something. That's a studio apartment.
Well, that's not an intended use of the space as an
Absolutely.
apartment.
I know it's not permitted. I've lived here for 22 years. I've taken care of my home. I've applied for all of the certificates of appropriateness that have ever been required, and I've volunteered in the city for 20 years. I mean, I'm
I think we have
just
to.
building it out how I would like it.
And there are other examples of similar garages with living spaces above them that I believe have restrictions similar to what council pointed out, that they won't be rented, and I think that's certainly an agreement here as well. No intention to use it in that fashion.
Would not insurance prohibit the use of that with liability? I mean, if something did happen on the property, they could lose their entire property. if they were to rent it, I would assume. If they're renting a space that is deemed not legal for use of that rental.
I don't know how the insurance would work. I don't think that's,
Yeah. I look at it as a property owner that's been here for a long time, making an addition that I don't think is gonna be a problem. I'm familiar with the lot. I walk by it often. It is a kind of an open corner lot. There's not property on the other side. So,
Just the highway.
I don't think, I'm in a position to make presumptions about what they're gonna use it for. They're presenting it as a addition to their home, so I think I'm fine with that.
Basically familial use only.
Yes.
Okay.
Before you deliberate, Rich, let's see if there's any other comments and move forward first.
Thank you.
Okay.
is there anyone else that wants to address the board on this matter?
Okay. I'm making motion to approve case number BA 24-21 for 17-foot rear yard setback variance to permit the construction of a two-story garage per the submitted plans. The approval shall be subject to the following conditions. The second floor space shall not be used as a residential dwelling, or that the office space be rented. Further conditions exist that, one, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance, as well as the adopted comprehensive plan of the city of Newport. Two, it will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Three, it will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. Number four, it will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity. Number five, it will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. Number six, it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. And according to staff recommendations, as mentioned, the requirement for fire-resistant walls on the zero side, is that what you said, Jessica?
Less than 5, and then on the porch projection.
Okay. And were there any other code requirements other than that you're aware of? Okay, that's my motion.
I second the motion.
Susan Whitehead,
No.
Nikki Bishop,
Yes.
Stephanie Steffen,
Yes.
Rich Livingood,
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Our last case for the evening is BA 2422. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit in the R3 zone to operate, oh, that's last month. Too many papers, here, this one, this paper.
Susan, I started to panic, like, wait a minute, did I do something wrong?
No, that's,
You don't have a paper problem. You got plenty of paper over there.
that's the minutes from last month I picked up. Okay, BA 2422. Applicant is requesting a dimensional variance to install a sign for the property located at 601 York Street in Newport. This is requested by Pout Studio.
So the proposed sign, no, you're fine, is shown to be 20 square feet, but our zoning ordinance only allows a 15 square foot projecting sign. And I will say that there was a recent zoning map amendment in this area from a central business district fringe to central business district, which does allow projecting signs. So this sign's just about 5 square feet too big.
Hi,
Hi.
this is Trina Vardaman. She owns Pout Studio.
Hi, I'm Trina.
I'm Edwin Vardaman, I'm her husband. And we'll start off by saying that the sign issue could not have been done more wrong initially. There was actually a sign installed. I contracted to help Trina with a sign manufacturer, and he installed it. And part of the original contract agreement with him was that he was supposed to do all this. He was supposed to come before the board and make sure that everything was fine with the city. Your staff has been very kind, even when we were alerted that there had been no approval for this sign. So we don't intend any disrespect. We certainly understand boards of approval, and we anticipated that any sign would need to be approved. So I apologize, we both
We live in
apologize.
Newport, and we contracted this person because he has put up many signs here, and I liked them. He does a really great work, so we weren't even worried.
Sorry about the first step
We weren't
of
even
the
worried, and then it was
process.
like, what?
So the sign was fabricated, it was put onto the building. In our humble opinion, it's a very nice looking sign. It's low light. I think it fits the aesthetic. I brought more,
If you want to see it.
if anyone would like to see what it actually looked like before it was taken down, may I approach?
Yes.
You can see it on the building. Apparently, it is slightly large for the designated area, but it's largely black. There's, of course, no flashing or, it's low light.
Suits that entire building
So
too.
when we got the
corner.
notification from the city, it was taken down. We're asking for the slightly oversized sign to be allowed to be put back up. Just, it would be installed exactly the way it appears here in this photo.
I would also give for the board's edification, 601 York is in the Central Business District fringe, but it is mere feet from being in the Central Business District. So we're talking about the 500 block at York is, the 600 block is not. So just for some context, obviously it doesn't change the fact that it's still in the other zone, but to their point, similar in nature to the rest of the area.
And do we know, is this the only protruding sign that will be on that building? Is the
Yes.
Yes.
other shop, the beauty shop, or what?
not.
She's not doing that. So then the only thing that really lights up is the lips and the
Yeah, and
letters.
it's very low, it's barely lit. It doesn't shine out.
That building looks fantastic. The renovation, transformation of that building is, I walked by it last night, it's beautiful.
We had a ribbon cutting today.
And
Very nice.
we're very happy to have
Very
you.
nice.
I don't have any issues with this sign, and at this point, we'll just move to approve the variance. Do I need to make that motion?
You still have to make the motion.
Public comment.
Okay.
That's right.
Let's have some public
you.
comment.
If you have any other questions, please let us know.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think we're
Pretty.
fine.
Is there anyone that wants to make comments on this case? Okay, no. And do we have, is everyone satisfied?
I am.
Ready to make a motion?
Yes, ma'am. Make a motion to approve case number BA 24-22 for a dimensional variance to allow projecting sign in excess of the prescriptive zoning code per the submitted plans and the nice picture. Further, that the conditions exist that, one, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance, as well as the adopted comprehensive plan for the city of Newport. That is a heck of a sentence. It will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. It will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. It will not alter essential character of the general vicinity. Number 5, it will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public. Number 6, it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Hold the board.
Susan Whitehead,
Yes.
Becky Bishop,
Yes.
Stephanie Steffen,
Yes.
Rich Livingood.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a motion
Motion
to
to
adjourn?
adjourn.
And a second?
Somebody second it. Thank you. All right.
Do I have to, Susan Whitehead,
Yes.
Becky Bishop,
Yes.
Rich Livingood,
Yes.
Stephanie Steffen.
Yes.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Just for the board's edification, Brian and I started in January, obviously, Jessica will be here full-time on the zoning side, and then we are also in the process, we're gonna advertise for a lawyer that will do all of the board, meetings as well, so there'll be some changes on that.
Blood work came back
Okay.
negative.
So, you